So this tutorial sheet is for 2024. We'll start with some questions from 1100 and then we'll go to 1120. One thing you need to understand about math, you need to understand the questions from tutorial sheet, because when it comes for exam, not most the test, sometimes the test they can get the questions from tutorial sheet, but sometimes they can repeat the questions from the previous years, maybe the test and like. But for exam, they like getting the questions from the tutorial sheet. Like the exam for last year, most of the questions came from the tutorial sheet. Okay, so you need to pay much attention to these questions. They are very, very important. So the first question here is saying, find the domain and range of the following function. Find the domain and the range of the following function. So there we go. We have the first question. Now, when we're talking about domain, what do we really mean? That is one thing you need to understand, okay? When we're talking about the domain, what are we talking about? Okay? So once you know what domain means, then it's going to be easy for you now to solve each question for domain. So when we're talking about the domain, we're talking about the x values. Okay? When we're talking about the domain, we are talking about the x values. So the x values, this is domain. The y values, this is the range. For you to understand this, guys, I think the best thing I can do is, if I've got my graph here, so this graph is like this. Okay? It's going there, it is also going there. Okay? Now, when you talk about the domain, when you check your graph, the x values, these are x values, and this is y. So let's assume to say this graph, the point here is just 2. What does it mean when we're talking about the domain? So the domain, the values of x, what are the values of x? You can clearly see that the graph here, it is open up. So it can go, we don't know where it can end. It can go from here all the way, we don't know where it can end. Even here it can just open up, we don't know where it's going to end. For this kind of a graph, we can say that the domain is from negative infinity all the way to positive infinity. Before we even start solving questions, I want you to understand what domain really mean and what range mean. Okay? So the x values, check your graph. The x values, this graph is opening, is going to positive infinity and negative infinity to the side of x. What of the y? The y values, they are starting from this point here where there is 2, and then they are going all the way to positive infinity. Therefore, the range, we can say that for this graph is from 2. Now that 2 is included. Okay, so I'll say 2 then positive infinity, like that. Before we start solving questions, who has a question here? Any question? Any question? Okay, so I think we can start now. So the first question here, one thing we have to remember is that we have got what we call linear function. A linear function, for example, part A. Part A is a linear function. What do we really mean when we say a linear function? A linear function is a function which doesn't have anything on the denominator. Like in this case, this is a linear function, 4 minus x squared. So if you sketch it, it can go in that direction, or sometimes it can be like that, or it can be like that. That's a linear function. So for any, are you guys getting me? Or my network is tripping? Thank you. So now for any linear function, the domain, when you sketch it, it will always give you from negative infinity all the way to positive infinity. The domain, these are values of x, which when you plug in the values there, they are going to make the function to be defined. Believe me, I can plug in any value here where there is x. This function is going to be defined. It's not going to be undefined. Okay? So for any linear function, like this case, the domain is from negative infinity to positive infinity. But the range is restricted. Have I made myself clear? For any linear function, the domain is from negative infinity to positive infinity, but the range is restricted. But how can I find the range in this case? That's the question now. I'm going to teach you two methods. I'm going to teach you two methods on how to find the range. Another one is going to be through sketching. Another one is going to be neutral. Okay. Now, if we are to sketch this graph here, you know, when you're trying to sketch a graph like here, we have got just get this, equate it equal to 0, solve for x. Okay, so in this case we have got 4 minus x squared, just equate it equal to 0, solve for x. Negative x squared is equal to negative 4. Negative and negative will go, so I'll have this, meaning that x values, I'm going to have x will be equal to plus or minus 2. Who is behind here on how I found plus or minus 2? I'm getting the square root here. So the square root there, then it's going to be x is equal to plus or minus 2. We are okay there, right? I can continue. Can I continue? So now these are the values which I have. Now to sketch this, remember we have okay. Remember we have x is equal to plus or minus 2, meaning that I can make my a simple coordinate. This coordinate should start from, let me just do this. Okay, this coordinate should start from, I'll do this, I'll say x, y, and then I have got two things here, plus or minus 2. So I'm going to start with negative 2 here, then 1, 0, again I can put here what? I can put 2. I can end there. The numbers in between negative 2 and 2, and this should be included. So I'll start now plugging in the values. The equation is 4 minus x squared. So if I put negative 2 here, it's going to be 4 minus negative 2 squared, which is 0, right? Have you seen that it's 0? If I put 1 squared DC, it's going to give me 3. If I put 0, it's going to give me 4. If I put 2, it's going to give me 0. It's okay there. From here now, I want to find the range. I'm going to show you two methods. So now, what is happening here is, in x, I have got negative 2. What else? I have got 1. I have got 0 and then 2. In y, I've got 3 and 4 and also 0. I'll start. Where can I find negative 2, 0? It is at this point. Initially, we know that the domain is all real numbers, meaning I can plug in any number. So here I've just gotten these 4 numbers. It's okay. You can get even 2, you can get 3, it's okay. So 1, 3, it should be where? In x1, in y3. Why are we not saying this? This should be negative 1, right? Not so. It's supposed to be negative 1 and not 1, because negative 2 then negative 1. So I'm supposed to put negative 1 here. So negative 1, 3, it should be here. What else do we have? 0, 4 is there. What else do we have? I can also have 1 in between here. If I put 1 still, I'm going to have 3. So it will be there. Then 2, 0 is there. What does it mean? The graph goes like that. So here is just going. So in y-axis, where are we starting from? Anyone who can help us? From the graph here in y. From what? From 4. Negative infinity. So my range will be, I'll start from negative infinity all the way to 4. 4 is included because it's part of the graph here. That is the simplest way using the sketching part. But there's another method I'm going to explain on how to find the range here. Get me right there. Another method which I'm going to use on how to find the range, guys, here is this one. You see how this graph, how this function is 4 minus x squared. I want to find the range. So you check the guy which is having x. Is it negative? In front of x there is negative, or you can't see. Let me just put it like this: 4 minus x squared. So in front of x there is negative. What tells you? What comes in your mind when you say that in front of x there is negative? What comes in your mind is that the graph has to come like this. Okay, if there is negative, the graph has to come like this. Initially, if you have got f of x is equal to negative x squared, the graph is supposed to be like this. It comes there, then here it goes like that. But now there is 4. What does it mean? It means that this 4 is positive. It means that this graph has to shift 4 units up. So from here where there is 0, it has to move all the way to 4. That's why the graph which we had was like this. The graph which we had here, we had 4. So the graph was like that. It was touching where there is 4, then it goes like that. So in short, in simple terms, I'm saying if there is x, if there is negative in front of x, just know that the graph in y-axis is going to be pointing toward negative x-axis. If there is negative in front of x, then check the number which doesn't have x, meaning that's where it's going to start from. So it will start from this point all the way to negative infinity. Even without the graph, you can use that method, finding the range. Have I made myself clear? So okay, I'm saying that if you have got okay, let me give you this. Let me explain. I'll be explaining, I think, all the concept on just one question. So here we have f of x is equal to 4 minus x squared. So to find the range, you know how to find the domain. Since it's linear, we can clearly see that it's what? It's all real numbers from negative infinity to positive infinity. If there is negative in front of x, what you should know is that it's going toward negative side, meaning it's going to go all the way to negative infinity. So check the number which doesn't have x. That's where it's going to start from. So in this case, it will start from 4. Okay, you start from negative infinity, sorry, all the way to 4. That's where it's going to end. Have you seen what I've done? So this has to be open. If I've got a question, you can ask. Finding the inverse of this function. Okay, it's not really a bad idea, but initially, when it comes for a test, I remember, I think quiz 1, a lot of people didn't manage to finish because of time. But still, you are going to get the same answer, sir. Okay? If you find the inverse, you still be able to get the same answer. Yes. And initially, do you know what's going to happen there? You can't see the screen. You can't see the screen. You can just log out and then log in again. I'm sure it's your network. You'll be able to see it. We can move to part 2. Okay. Before we move to part 2, let me give you another question here. Let's say we have x. Yes. Oh yes. Okay. Okay. Let me also teach you that. Yes. You can use set bit notation to use to write the domain and range. So when using set bit notation, so you say the domain will be, then you say x is such that x is a member of all real numbers. Okay, especially this part is, I think, is very simple. You can just say the domain will be x is a member of all real numbers, like that. Or you can say x is such that x is a member of all real numbers, just like that. I think this will be better than that one. So for range, what do we say for range? We can clearly see that it is starting from, it is less than, it is less than or equal to -4, not so. It's starting from -4 all the way to negative infinity. So my range will be x is such that, oh sorry, range we are using y and not x. So it will be y is such that y is less than or equal to 4, and but y should be a member of all real numbers. Is that cool? Meaning that we're starting from 4 going all the way to negative infinity. I'm giving you a homework. I want you to go ahead and find the range, because I know the domain you'll be able to find. What is the domain and range of this function? And also, what is the domain and range of this function? I've given you two. So go ahead and find the answers for this. Let's go to part 2. Part 2, I'm going to explain part 2 and which range are you talking about? For the first question? Okay, okay, it's okay. You are going to watch the recorded class. Because of time, I want us to do radical, which is part 2 and part 5, part 4. Sure. So part 2 and I'm going to teach you this one and this one together. Let's see. That is what we call, the moment you see any function in a square root, that is a radical function. We call this a radical function. So we are going to know how to sketch this in tutorial sheet 4. I'll teach you radical functions. How do you find the domain of a radical function? It is simple. I hope my network is not bad. You're able to get me, right? So I'm saying, when you have been given a function in a square root, just know that that is a radical function. But the question is, how do you find the domain of a radical function? Believe me, guys, you can't have a square root of a negative number. This is definite and defined. Get me right there. This is definitely undefined, and we don't want this to be undefined. We want to make it defined. One thing we have to remember about the square root is we can have a square root of 0 all the way going to positive infinity and not to the negative side. Therefore, if you have been given anything with the square root, what you do is you get this what is in the square root. So in this case, you get what is in the square root only when it comes for the domain. Get what is in the square root, equate it to greater than or equal to 0, then solve for x. That is your domain. Have I made myself clear? Get what is in the square root, equate it to greater than or equal to 0, solve for x. That is the domain. What's the reason behind that? Like I've said, you can't have any number less than 0 in the square root. That is definitely undefined. We are trying to make the function defined, and remember that when talking about the domain, the values that can make this function to be defined. So get what is in the square root, equate them to greater than or equal to 0, solve for x. In this case, I only have x, so x is greater than or equal to 0. That's my domain. But how do I present this? You can mute yourself. How do I present this? You can present this in two ways. One, in set builder notation. Two, in set interval notation. If you have got a question, you can just ask instead of you raising your hand, because I'm not able to see. Okay. So now, after finding this, how do I put it? Yes. A negative number has no square root. Unless now you come to complex numbers, you start just imagining to say, okay, the square root of negative 4 is 2i. But that's not a real number, not so. Yes, definitely. When you get your calculator, you punch negative 4. The square root of negative 4 is math error. That is undefined. Doesn't exist. We're okay there? Okay. So in this case, we have found our domain. But now, how do we present our answer? That's the most important thing which you need to know. So I can present this one in set interval notation, where I can say the domain is from negative infinity. Oh, sorry. The domain is from 0. Now, you need to understand this. This is greater than or equal to, meaning that this number is included. Meaning that where I'm starting here, I have to put what? A closed one. You did this under sets. So 0, starting from 0 all the way to positive infinity. That's my domain. But where there is infinity, you can't put a closed one. No. Because we don't know where it's ending. That's why it's just an open one. I can also put domain in set builder notation, where I can say x is such that x is greater than or equal to 0, comma, x is a member of all real numbers. Set builder notation, you can also write it in form of this. It's the same thing. You can say x is a member of all real numbers, then you say x is greater than or equal to 0. It's the same thing. Mute your mic. Sure. Okay. Yes, sir. Equality. No, greater than or equal to 0, then solve for x. Yes. No, 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 no. We are here, sir. We are on question 2. We are not yet there. We are on this question. So we have just gotten what is in the square root, which is just x, then greater than or equal to 0. So since we don't have any number, then x is greater than or equal to 0. which the negative 2. Okay, so any number which is not part of the square root, that is going to work for range. Yes, so for domain you only concentrate on the square root part. You just get what is in the square root only. Yes, we're okay there, right? Anyone who is behind on how to find the domain, like in this case? Okay, cool. How do we find the range? Finding the range, what I normally do is I'll show you the simplest way on how to find the range. Initially, okay, I'm going to show you two methods. I think the best method which can help you is by using the coordinate. What it means here when we say x is greater than or equal to 0, it means that in this function the only values which I can plug in, they are supposed to start from 0 all the way going to positive infinity, any value. So what I'm going to do now is this. I'll just make a very simple coordinate. I'll say x, y. Where there is x, I've been told already to say x should be greater than or equal to 0. I'll start from 0. Any number greater than 0, again I'll put 1. What else can I put? I can put 2 if I want. But the reason why I'm not going to put 2 is because I'm scared. Because the square root of 2, I don't know. And we don't use a calculator. I'm going to choose a number which when I plug in, it should have what? A square root. So that things should be easy for me. Which number do you think I can put? 2, no. 3, no. But 4. I'll just have 3 numbers. That's all. Then I'll start. In the square root here, if I put where there is x, I put 0. What am I going to have? The square root of 0 is 0. 0 times negative 2 is 0. I'll put 0 here. Remember, range, these are the values of what? Of y. The second coordinate is 1. If I plug in where there is the square root of x, I put 1. It's going to be the square root of 1. The square root of 1 is 1. 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. If you want, you can just use 2 coordinate. It's fine. The way I've just put 0, negative 2. Then I'm done. If I don't want to use 4, it's okay. I can end there. But if you want us to use 4, then I'm going to say if I put 4, it's going to be the square root of 4. The square root of 4 is 2. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4. What can you see? Tell me what you can see. Can we conclude that we are starting from 0? Is it increasing or decreasing? Can we say it's greater than or less than? Why, sir? I want you to check the y values, the way the y values are going. We are starting from 0. The x, we have said that x is greater than or equal to 0. And for sure here you can clearly see that we have started from 0, 1, 4. We are increasing. So here now it's 0, negative 2, negative 4. Are we increasing or we are going down? So what will be your conclusion? Y will be what? So you can't just say less than, it has to be less than or equal to, because this 0 was included, meaning that even this 0 is included. So y is less than or equal to 0. That is what? That is our range. So you say range will be starting from negative infinity ending 0, but 0 has to be included. Or you say y is such that y is less than 0, but y has to be a member of real numbers. Who is confused on how to get the range? You, you're confused. Why are you confused? I leave it. How we came up with the numbers? Which numbers? Okay, let me Let me come and explain again. Then others, where didn't you understand? Okay, I want to hear. Okay, one. Our friend here, she's saying she's not okay on how we have found the -2 and -4, right? Okay. Are we having the same problem, or maybe I should just go ahead and explain? Others, what problem do we have? I believe you have questions here on how to find the range. Where exactly are you lost? Yes. Yes. Yes, that will be for y values. Yes. And do you know what? Do you know that y? Do you know that the range when we're talking about? Do you know that when we're talking about the range, guys? Range is not something which is difficult. The only thing which is difficult is the domain. What I mean here is this. Sometimes only that um you tend to understand on how to find the domain and range, especially when you understand what domain mean and what range mean. Then you come to understand on how to sketch them. You discover to say, believe me, it's going to be very much easy for you to find the domain and range. You don't have to think. Domain is like this. Domain is like the husband. Then the range is the wife. The range just follow where the domain is. You can't find the range without finding the domain. It's practically difficult a bit because you have to follow the condition of the x. So it's like you can't make the decision on your own. Okay? You can't make the decision on your own. That is the range. The domain, you are making the decision, people are following you. You are the main chick. That is the domain. Okay? So when it comes for the radical one, as long as you have got a square root, get what is in the square root, equate them greater than or equal to 0. Solve for x. That is your answer for the domain. Then you put it either in set builder notation or set interval notation. No one is going to penalize you on that one. Next, get the same values. Just choose 3. Put 3 coordinate. Put them there. The first point where you are starting here, it will show you this is 0. The next is negative. The next is also -4. So you can clearly see that it is decreasing. Then I'm going to use less than or equal to. If this was like 0, 1, 4, I would have said it's greater than or equal to. Have you seen what I've done? The principle of also finding the inverse, it can also work here. It can also work, but okay. When it comes for solving math, I don't like teaching long method such that when you start writing maybe the quiz or the test, it's going to be difficult for you to finish. Believe me, the time for you to find the inverse, there is no any mark because you have not been told to find the inverse. It's just helping you on how you're going to find the range, not so. So there's no mark for that. But still, if you're having challenges with this, you can find the range, the inverse, and then go ahead and do that. Now let me give you another one before we even go to this last one. Let me show you another one. Let's say we have, okay, let's say we have f of x is equal to the square root of x minus 4, or let me just put 2. According to what I've explained, guys, who can explain to me on how to find the domain in this case? I said, what do we do if I've been given a square root? Yeah. Yes. Yes, please. Mhm. Okay. Equate it equal to 0. Are you sure, sir? Exactly. Then we do what now? We solve for x. So I'll shift 2. Yes. So I'll say x will be greater than or equal to 2. What does it mean? Meaning that my domain should start from 2 all the way to... Now, this 2 is included. I have to write this. 2 all the way to positive infinity. Insert Builder notation. I'll say x is such that x should be greater than or equal to 2, but x has to be a member of all real numbers. As simple as that. Who is behind on how to find the domain here? Yes, please. Yes, yes. The negative part is already excluded because we are saying it's greater than or equal to 0. Then how do you find the range? Like I've said, you just get the condition. The condition is that x should be greater than or equal to negative 2. I'll start from negative 2, then I just get two. I'll just say this x, y. Just get this 2, put it there. Any number which when I plug in here I can get the square root. What number is that, do you think? If I put what? If I put 4, are you sure? 4 minus 2. Why not 6? Initially you can put any number, only that here you can put, like here we have 2, you can put a 3. It's okay. Ah, why can't we just put a 3? Why are we going to 6? You can put any number, even if it doesn't give you a square root, you can still think where it can be found. Not so. Only that I'm just trying to make things simple. But you can put any number as long as that number is greater than or equal to 2. It's fine. So you can put 2, 3. Just get 2 is fine, guys. So I've gotten 2 here. If I put 2 where there's x, I'll have 2 minus 2. You can mute your mic. I'll have 2 minus 2 is 0. The square root of 0 is 0. Next, 3. 3 minus 2, 1. The square root of 1 is 1. What comes in your mind? We are starting from 0, and again I have 1. What comes in your mind? Y will be equal to what? I want a girl to volunteer us now. Any girl who is going to volunteer? From what we have here, we are starting from 0, then we have 1. It's okay, you can answer since they are bragging. 0. Thank you. So meaning that my range now will be, I'll say it is starting from 0 all the way to positive infinity. Or I can say my range is x is such that x is greater than, oh, why am I, The moment you say x and you're talking about range, they are going to mark you wrong, because range, these are y values. Okay, so you should not forget, guys. Y is such that y is greater than or equal to 0, and y is a member of all real numbers, like that. Who is behind on how to find the range and the domain under radical functions? Yes, yes. The domain, that's why I said the domain is like, you're in a house, and then like if there are two people, a couple, domain is like the husband, then the range is the wife. So the domain is the one that makes the decision. So for this one, it's practically impossible for you to find the range without knowing the domain. You get my point, right? Only. Yes, but you don't just show that this is the domain, because it's going just to help you to find the range in simple terms. Yes, sure. You are going to see, especially tutorial sheet 4, that's when we are going to be sketching this. So here I'm just trying to explain everything. That's why I don't want us to just we solve this, we do that. Okay, so now let's go to this point. This question 4 is a bit different. Yeah, it's a bit different. It's a bit different. Did you guys do inequalities? Just an introductory part, I think. So if you have not done inequality, it's going to be a bit okay. But I'm the one who is going to teach you inequalities. I'll teach you inequalities. So I'm the one who is going to teach you inequalities. So it will be a bit challenging for us to solve this question. I just don't know why they had to put it. Are you getting me? We just do it. Okay. In fact, I think it will be even better for me even to explain, to have it, to give an idea behind inequalities. So now, when you have got a radical function and you're trying to find the domain, get me right there. When you have got a radical function, remember the principle is to get what is in the square root. 4 minus x squared is greater than or equal to 0. So for x, negative x squared greater than or equal to negative 4. I've shifted this 4 to the other side. We're okay there? Under in when we're using these symbols, this is an inequality. Once I divide it by negative, what happens to the sign, the symbol? It changes. So it will be x squared less than or equal to 4. What comes in your mind when you square this and you have 4 here? What comes in your mind is plus or minus, right? So here I'll have this, meaning that my x is less than or equal to plus or minus 2. One thing you have to remember here, this is where we lost our brothers and sisters, even last year and the other year. Get me right there. I have got two values. The moment you have got two values, this is definitely an inequality. We have to use a table to find the actual values of x which can fit there. What does it mean here? Because here what it means that x is less than or equal to positive 2. Another one is x less than or equal to negative 2. Not so. So it's like these things, it's like these answers, they're just contradicting. Because another one is saying that x is less than or equal to negative 2. But again, another one is saying that x is less than or equal to 2. It's like they're just contradicting. Another one is saying, okay, we need to end on negative 2. But again, the same one is saying, okay, we need to end on 2. So it doesn't make sense, right? So the basic idea behind this, when you have got two answers, we want to find the domain. Here is the issue. You are going to have this now turned into what? It is going to be an inequality. So you say that you are going to have the critical point. The critical point are the values of x you have found. So like in this case, you say x is equal to negative 2 and x is equal to 2. Then get a table. This is how we do it. Any inequality, this is what we do. We use a table. Which I know if you have not done, you are going to do it, but you can also understand from here, and it's going to be more like a revision the time you are going to be doing it. It's just you. Don't you think it's just you? Yeah, I think it's just your network. You can just leave a bit and then try to rejoin again. Okay, cool. So now, once you have this, you need to understand, guys, that this is more like an inequality. So you have got the critical points, negative 2, you put them, you put negative 2 there, you put 2 here. This box, you put the number. For example, here I'm going to put a number which is less than 2 on this box. So I'll choose negative 3. Here I'll choose 0. Then here I'll put 3. Before I continue, anyone who is behind on what I've done there? Okay. The next step, I've got two answers, so I need to have another column there, another one here. What does it mean? If I shift this, yes, you can ask if I've got a question. You can mute your mic. So now, what is happening here, guys, is okay. So now, what is happening here is I'm going to shift this negative 2 to the other side so that it should be x plus 2. Same applies to this. If I shift that 2 to the other side, it's going to be x minus 2. So I'm going to put x plus 2 here, then x minus 2 there. Have you seen what I've done? The last column, I'm going to put everything like these two guys. I need to put them here, then x minus 2 there. That is the principle of inequality. The function is f of x is equal to the square root of 4 minus x squared. So remember, we had to get 4 minus x squared greater than or equal to 0. I hope there we were together. Negative x greater than or equal to negative 4. Once we divide by negative, the sign changed. So it was like this, positive 4. So x was less than or equal to plus or minus 2. You are okay there, right? Who is behind on how to find it? Okay, we are okay there, right? We are following now. Meaning we have got 2. Okay. The reason why we had to use greater than or equal to? Oh no, you have just joined now. Okay, it's okay. It's fine. I think you understand. So now when we're talking about the domain, when we're finding the domain of any logical function, you get what in the square root, equate it equal to greater than or equal to 0. Solve for x. Yes. So now these are the answers. X is less than or equal to negative 2 and x is less than or equal to 2. So these answers, it means that x is equal to negative 2 and x is equal to 2. So you put them on the table. You put them on the table. What does it mean? These answers have got negative 2 and 2. I'll put them there. If I shift this 2 to the other side, I'm going to have x minus 2. It's the one I'm going to put here. If I put this 2 to the other side, it's going to be x minus 3. Oh, my plus 2. Anyone who is behind on how I've gotten this before we even continue, please ask. We're okay? Next, I'm going to get the number in between. The number in between negative 2 and 2 is 0. The number greater than 2 is 3. The number less than negative 2 is negative 3. So the last part here, I need to put these two like that. Any question there before we start using the table? Now, the next thing which I have to do now is I have to put this number which I've just gotten them randomly. This number, when I place it where there is x, what am I going to get? Is it negative or positive? If I put negative 3 here, it will be negative 3 minus 3, which is negative. If I put negative 3 here, it's going to be negative 3 plus 2, negative. Negative times negative, positive. I go to 0. If I put 0 here, negative. I put 0 there, positive. Positive, negative, negative. I put 3 where there is x here, positive. I put 3 where there is where there is x here, is going to give me positive. Positive, positive, positive. Now, the condition here is that the values x is less than or equal to negative 2 and x is less than or equal to 2. Since we have got less than here, what does it mean? When it's less than, you get the part which is negative. So the negative part is that one, meaning that these guys are not part of my solution. So the only solution will be the part where it's negative. So the part where it's negative, I can clearly see that is 2, between 2, negative 2 and 2. So that will be my domain. So my domain will be negative 2 all the way to 2, both included. Yes, you can also do it on the number line, of which I'm going to teach you that, especially in tutorial sheet 4, where we're going to be talking about inequalities specifically. Yes. Bec- 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 because we are getting the negative part because the sign here is less than. So when the sign is less than, it means that the negative part is included. If it was greater than, I would have gotten the positive part. Yes. Hmm. 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 No, that's not true, sir. So when you say x is greater than or equal to negative 2, yes, please. To what? No. Li- listen, listen. No. The moment you say x is greater than or equal to negative 2, do you know what it means? Listen, listen. The meaning here, let me show you the meaning. The meaning here of what we have here is this: x is greater than or equal to negative 2, but again, x is less than or equal to 2. That's the meaning. Meaning that, oh no, I was thinking maybe we're just saying x is greater than or equal to negative 2 only. Okay, yes. So, exactly. But do you know what? Do you know what, guys? This sign here, they doesn't matter. What matters is this is just helping you to find the critical point, and then this is the most important thing. So the sign here, this one doesn't matter because you not even present it. The domain is just negative 2 included all the way to 2 also included. That's all. It's fine. Yes, yes. Yeah. So, okay, that's the most important thing under rational function. Oh, sorry, radical function. Now, the next thing we have to do is, because of time, we're not going to continue, but it's relational function. What was your question? Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. What was your question? Yes, I'm waiting. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. Okay, you send that question in the group. We are going to solve in the group. But one thing I need just to clarify. I need just to show you something. Okay. You know this tutorial sheet which you have. Um, we have them. Yeah, I believe we have them. So I want to show you something. So are you guys watching our videos on YouTube? That's where you knew transcended, right? Yes, from YouTube. But let me show you this. You know, sometimes I believe these videos have been helping you for some time. But there are some videos when you go on our YouTube channel, you believe to say, have you ever come across any video you want to watch and then it's telling you that only members can watch this video? Okay. So let me give an example of this. Mm, okay, let me go here. I want to show you something which is going to help you actually. So if you go on our YouTube channel, you discover to say there are some videos like these videos you can't watch them. Although this one is for Mulungushi guys. So here we have even these for chemistry. Gives free energy. He say if it's even telling you here that registered students only. Here. So there's also this video corrugative properties question that is the coded class. It's even telling you that members only. These videos, no matter what, you can't watch them from here. The only way you can go to our website, if you go to our website, if you just type Transcendent Institute, even on Google, you'll be able to find yourself on our website. So if you go on our website, this is our website. I can give an example of math. Okay. So let me log in. In fact, for functions, let me even show you for functions. Functions. So this question, which is this video which is here, this video is for 2 hours 29 minutes, but the same thing you discover to say we also have the same video. Where is that video? The same video which is about 7 hours, which has got everything on functions. And this video, if you check here, you're not going to see it. You can see it especially on playlists. If you go on functions, I think some of you have come across it. Some of you definitely you have come across that video. Functions. It's almost about 7 hours, which has got almost everything on functions: inequalities, the radical functions, sketching, everything. So now you discover to say the people who are registered with us, they are able to access these videos from our website. So if you come here, the videos which are telling you to say only members can access, these are the same videos which are here. I can even give an example of functions here. Functions, the only videos which you can find them on YouTube, they are only part 1, 2, 3, 4. But everything here all the way to part 20, almost 30 something, 39, you can't see them. Tutorial sheet 4, we have already solved it. It's also here. You can see them. They are here. Question 1 tutorial sheet. We also have question 9 tutorial sheet 4. All the questions, we have them here. Okay. Then we also have the tutorial sheet 2 and 3. Yeah, we have them. They are also here. Yeah, they are also here. So the only way you can access these, I think, is very affordable. It's only 80 kwacha per course per month, and you'll be able to access everything in math, including the past papers. So we offer tuitions for almost all the courses: chemistry, physics, biology, and math. If you go to physics, we even have a folder for just past papers. It's here, physics past papers. The past papers for last year from 2019, 2022, 2019 all the way to 2023, we have them already. They are already solved. Just take your time, then you start watching the videos, you'll be able to know almost all the concept. So in just 80 kwacha, you'll be able to access the tutorial videos, the full topic videos, the exam past paper solutions, and also the live classes. And you'll also be able to attempt our quizzes, which we're going to be having them on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So it's high time, guys. Take your time, register with us. If you don't have my number, in case you're not in the group, just get in touch with me using this number: 0767 729927. Only 80 kwacha per course per month. You'll be able to access almost everything. We end there unless you have got questions.